So, hello and welcome to everyone who is here, joining in the Discord server, especially. You can see so many sincere and friendly faces, and also all of the people watching live on YouTube. You can say hello. Once again, we find ourselves to be here in the present moment, live and breathing, and that alone is a lot, right? Most people are not alive and breathing. Maybe 99% of people who have ever existed are not alive and breathing. So the fact that we are alive and breathing is a very rare and unique occurrence. Quite an interesting situation to be alive and breathing right now. And the title of this event on YouTube today is Zen Buddhism, comma, is it real or not? The ultimate truth revealed. And it has been revealed. It is being revealed in our normal, ordinary life, our regular experience. This is the home of the Buddha. This is the home of enlightenment. This is the home of healing. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it feels good, and yet it is home. It is the ultimate truth revealing itself. Every physical sensation, every mental sensation, just this reminder, this bird call of present moment awareness and the truth, the fundamental truth revealed. So you don't need to seek out or search for some high level, special spiritual teaching, right? Some really cool Zen style person or event or experience, or go to take a bunch of ayahuasca or something like that. It's not necessary, because the ultimate truth is being revealed in our normal, ordinary, everyday lives. And in our ordinariness, in our normalness, is the profundity of the absolute truth of all reality, right here and now. You don't need a Buddha, you don't need a Krishna, you don't need a guru, you don't need some kind of special technique, but just recognize what's here and now and enjoy that and touch that and see that as a ultimate truth, as a liberating truth, as a refreshing and restarting truth and point here in the present moment. So, getting the title of the YouTube channel out of the way, um, it's quite good, because there's a teaching in that about we need to stop looking for a special experience. We need to stop looking for a different version of ourselves, right? The hyper realized, the hyper enlightened version of ourselves. This is just another form of seeking and craving. We need to get rid of this whole contraption of something better and getting rid of something worse. It's just to come home to the present moment in the simplest, most wholesome, most gentle, and soft way. We feel a little bit agitated, a little bit worked up, a little bit stressed, a little bit scrambled. Maybe it's bath time. Maybe that's why. Maybe we need to sit on the pot. Okay? It doesn't need to be this convoluted situation with your mind or your body or your relationships or your social situation or the world, but just to take care of yourself like a baby, to find your baby nature, sweet, soft, gentle, taking care, putting yourself back into this position of open hearted, gentle, present moment awareness, where the breath is a joy, and the awareness of the body is a safety. And then in a situation like this, we're all gathered together live. We can see all the different people here. Um, it's very curious. It's very inspiring. We feel vulnerable. We've made the choice to show up, and we can feel that intimacy of being here together. And we can breathe in such a way where we are staying in the present moment, and we are open to sharing from our heart, right? Maybe there's a question that comes up, or there's something we feel we want to share. But more so, there's so much we can let go of during this time. There's so much we can put down and not be stuck on during this time. So make sure that you're comfortable. Take as your primary activity and your primary way of being to follow your breathing, to connect with your breathing. There might be a strange sound. You might get a little bit of a tummy ache. You might need to use the restroom. Maybe have a strange thought, a worry, a desire. Different things will come up. But coming back to your breathing and just being here and breathing and being aware and listening, and leave the space open if you do want to ask a question or you do want to share about something, that is okay, and you can offer out and you can share. But it's not necessary to do anything during this period of time. Just to sit, just to breathe, just to unfold and unravel. We'll practice like that together. Does anyone have any questions or comments about where we're at now? Okay.
So I guess I kind of wanted to share an experience that happened pretty recently. I'll make it quick. Um, Someone who I have liked for a while had a talk with this person and kind of like realized like it's a close friend, but also someone who I was like I guess romantically interested in. Realizing fully today that it wouldn't have worked out had like a conversation, and I'm just trying. It's kind of hard for me because sometimes admittedly I do get stuck on stuff too much for my own good, but just trying to use my baby nature to like focus more of my time and attention back to myself and just like caring about my own mind rather than being stuck. I'm stuck on like a situation that's unhealthy. If that makes sense.
Great. And it's good that we recognize these things and that we can be aware of them and go through them, because a lot of times it's a small thing. Oh, I like this person, or I would have liked the situation to be absolutely ideal, right? I would have liked it to go exactly how I wanted it to go, but it doesn't. Well, that's just fine. And we go back to our humanness. We go back to our sincerity, to be in the present moment, to attend to what is in front of us and what is on our plate, and don't overthink that situation or that person or that interaction or lack thereof, because people explode, people melt, right? People dissolve, and you are going to dissolve too. So you need to relax about those things. And sometimes it can be very harsh and difficult. People have um, children, loved ones that they're raising and doing, spending all their time and attention to help them, and difficulties happen. So just allow yourself to relax about this and to be with it in a gentle way. I'm also working with something like that, and you just take a rest, or you take care, and then you continue. That's the best that you can do. Don't overthink it. And that relax is to that self-importance you're giving to yourself and also that other person. Just relax it and come home to where you are right now. Allow yourself to be there fully.
Fact, said person actually kind of agreed to go to a dance with me, but kind of like as friends, and like it's yeah, I think the important thing is that I'm aware of it and trying to do right by myself. But it's for me, it's I guess it's gonna kind of take a little bit of like a little bit of skillful thinking, or maybe lack thereof thinking, to kind of like fully reroute myself in the next few days or weeks or so.
Great. Anyone else? Kind of a very precious moment, precious opportunity where we can listen deeply and share deeply. For some people, maybe you never have this opportunity or this space to do something like that in your life. So it's a gift to have it. And in the future, future, but we will do some practices that are more geared towards community sharing. We've done before, sharing our experience, where we're at, kind of what's going on with our practice.
Hi, I do have a question. How do you tell whether it is your intuition telling you something or you are just worrying too much?
You're just worrying too much.
Mm.
The intuition maybe is your skillful way of dealing with something, right? I think for me, intuition is very present minded, whereas worrying too much is you're kind of ruminating about something that you need to take care of or not to think about too much. So you either take care of it or you don't need to think about it too much. And for me, that's where my intuition is. Um, because the thinking about it, the complicated thinking about it, I mean, what is that really going to do? Where is it really going to lead you? It just make you to feel stressed or worried. Um, you can either act on it or not, but acting on it or not, I don't know that the complicated thinking, the worrying, the rumination is really going to inform that so much. You see what I'm saying, Anastasia?
Yes, thank you. It's just that I have a big decision to make, and on one hand, I'm thinking maybe it's a gut feeling I shouldn't go through with it, and then I'm thinking as well maybe it's just me overthinking it and worrying too much.
Well, no matter what, it's overthinking and worrying too much because that's exactly what it is, right?
Okay.
And because whatever decision you make or however you take care of it, it's ultimately going to be okay. And your, being worked up about it or worrying about it is just putting you in a less stable position, a less wise position to deal with it the way that you should deal with it or that you'd like to deal with it, right? if we make a decision from a place of worry and stress and being worked up, that tends to always be quite a difficult decision, and difficult to make it, difficult to deal with making it, and maybe the result is good or bad, but there's so much suffering involved in that. Whereas if you allow yourself to relax, give yourself the space to make that decision and accept that it might not be the perfect decision, but that's still okay, you'll be relaxed through the whole thing. You won't be stressing out about it.
Thank you.
Okay, and Nino shared something, so I'll read what Nino shared. Nino said, I am very lonely, even with my significant other sometimes. I have chosen a path of work, and it's fun but very demanding. I often fall back into the comfort of addictions to avoid developing skill through hard work to get better at my profession. This has also caused me to not have in person friends. Most people I meet are family and online friends. Just wanted to share some emotions. I'm glad I'm here. Glad you're here too, Nino. And to be here without relying on ourself, without relying on self-fixation, without relying on the self-based story, past and future, especially those worries, especially those desires or that complicated thinking about our experience. That's the preciousness, that's the wonderfulness of this space, and that's what makes it so able to receive people who are in a position to share those emotions, because they need to be shared at that time, to share that story, to share that experience, because not relying on that self-fixated story is not about rejecting the reality of your experience or throwing it away or seeing it as being bad or less than, but it's having a sense of awareness and spaciousness to your mind that can accommodate that, but not be stuck on it or totally fixated on it. And the power, the collective power of that, we can support one another, because there's this quality of spaciousness to the gathering as a whole. So we don't just practice our mindfulness or that unraveling, that releasing for ourselves, but we also sharing that out with everyone who's here. And so um, the most essential actually is our own mind. So it's the practice that you're doing, but the ways that we can share that out also are we share our camera, or we have our personal name here in the Discord username, or we have our picture of ourselves as the Discord profile picture, or we share some words, or we show up regularly, and then there's this foundation of um, mindfulness and kind of a collective awakening, a collective spaciousness that we can all lean into and support one another with. Okay, saying hello on YouTube as well. But whatever way you do it, it's offering out and it's a generosity. But the biggest and the most primary, the most essential way of doing it is your practice yourself. Even if nobody knows that you're watching or that you're here, that spaciousness that you're offering is offered out internally and externally, and being free from anything that's internal or external as well. Not stuck at all. Okay, Holly, can you read? Can you use your voice and read your question? Is it okay? Too late here. Okay, no worries. So, Holy or Holly says, how do you go about protecting yourself in a calm and safe way? Caught my brother's girlfriend reading all my journals, stealing things from me, found out she's been harassing me online for months, stalking me, etc. Going through a restraining order right now. Entire family feels like it fell apart. Doing my best to do my breathing, grounding, and whatever else I need to do. But in the future, how do we balance keeping ourselves safe while also setting boundaries? Also, glad to be here. Love this space. Too late at night for webcam for me. Don't worry about making any excuses or apologizing. This is something really important to be aware of. Generosity has nothing to do with submitting to someone else's desires or someone else's interests. Generosity has nothing to do with that. And this isn't personally to you, Holly. But it's a conundrum. It's a misperception that people so often have, is that somehow to offer out and to do generosity has something to do with someone else's desires, and this is just not the case, or someone else's interests or their wants. Generosity is something that we have a value that's precious to us, and we offer out. We just to share out with. Not in response to anyone else. Maybe there's some awareness, but not in response. So please, of course, if it's too late, if you don't have a camera, if you don't have a microphone, wonderful. Don't worry. Oli, I'm sure a lot of different people here could have some advice for you, but I would just say that probably right now, the future is not so important, and I would imagine that this kind of thing isn't going to happen again, or isn't likely to happen in the same way. And it seems that you're still kind of locked into that experience, which I would be too. I mean, that's really intense and difficult. The advice that I can give is just back away as much as you can from that situation. Detach and abandon your involvement with it, and give yourself as much space as you need. Block, remove, delete, but mostly abandon, and recognize that your true self cannot be misappropriated. It can't be taken from you. Your true self, your real self, is here in the present moment, and no one else can know about that but you. No one can take that from you. No one can poison that. But actually, Holly or Holy, maybe you tell me which one it is, so that I can know. But your question and also Nino's comment both are topics that we're going to address in our reading today. Okay, so this is going to be Holly. Okay. This is really going to be a joy. So let's begin with our reading. We're going to continue with our book that we looked at yesterday from the Venerable Master Sun Yin. And we'll go just through a couple poems and then his commentary. And if you have any questions as we're reading it or anything like that, then you can ask. Okay, don't be shy, and see how this goes. We'll see what wisdom we can get from this experience together. Let's listen to a sound of the bell. Come home to our breathing and turn the mind around. The book was shared recently, the announcements page, but don't get yourself involved with anything. This is a time to get uninvolved, not a time to scamper around. Okay, let's listen to a sound of the bell. Okay. So this first poem. When people slander me, what should I do? Forbearance is the path of least harm. Set a good example for my children and grandchildren. Follow the gentle, not the violent. A commentary. We should not get too upset when slandered by others. It does not hurt us too much to get the short end of the stick once in a while, for when the clouds clear, the sun will shine through. We need to treat others with sincerity and honesty, thereby setting a good example for the younger generations. Even further, we need to follow the gentle, not the violent. We should be reasonable when someone slanders us. Once slandered, it appears we are getting the short end of the stick. This is not true. In reality, if we can be patient and uncalculating, if we refrain from seeking revenge, in time people will know the truth. Then the slander not only will not harm us, but will become an opportunity to gain merit. Just as the Sutra of 42 sections says, to slander others is like blowing dust into the wind. Not only will it not harm others, the dust will ultimately fall back on ourselves. To slander others is also like spitting up into the sky. When it falls, it will fall flat in our face. Thus, we should not be bothered by others' idle talk and slander. Instead, we should be tolerant, patient, and forgiving. The greatest strength in this world comes not from fists nor guns, but from tolerance under insult. According to Buddhist teachings, the merit gained from practicing the precepts is not as great as the merit gained from practicing tolerance. So you can see here the strength of tolerance. Okay, so this merit is the good effects. Very simple to understand, the good effects from doing good deeds. So it's just like if you do good, you feel good. If you keep doing good more and more, you build up this store, right? It's like a storehouse, a grain house of merit, of goodness. So if you can refrain from seeking revenge, eventually people know the truth about this slander, about this negative talk about you. then the slander not only will not harm us, but will become an opportunity to gain merit. Okay, so the slander, this negative talk about us, will actually become a source of merit, a source for people to understand more deeply and know about the truth. We can get a lot of benefits from slander in that way, if we can refrain from seeking revenge and be patient and uncalculating. According to Buddhist teachings, the merit gained from practicing the precepts is not as great as the merit gained from practicing tolerance. So you can see here the strength of tolerance. So tolerance is just like this, especially when it relates to slander. So some person, maybe we live with this person and they're angry at us, or they're saying bad things to us, or we know that they've been saying bad things about us, and then they're around us. Or maybe they're around us when they're saying these things. And so we feel this fire, this anger, this we want to defend, we want to fight, we want to, tell other people, oh, they're so bad. At that moment, or someone's just making noise in our area and it's disturbing us, at that moment to practice tolerance is a great source of merit. So instead of reacting to it, instead of trying to control it, we just to breathe and be with that and to accept that, not to try and get away from it, not to blame, not to have this big complicated idea about it, but just to accept. And to endure, right? To endure. So in our practice, the first thing we need to learn is tolerance. We have to be tolerant in our speech and should not yell at others for no apparent reason. We have to be tolerant in our bodies and should not show anger on our face. We have to be tolerant in our minds and be truly forgiving of the bad deeds that others have done to us. If we can do this, we set a good and invaluable example to the younger generations. Okay? Be tolerant in our minds, tolerant for those people's unskillfulness, their bad deeds, but also truly forgiving. And that's a practice, right? Anything that's true, anything that's authentic is alive. So it's not a matter of, oh, I forgave this person, but it's to be truly forgiving. If we can do this, we set a good and invaluable example to the younger generations and also to ourselves moving forward, because there's going to be more difficulties. And we can practice this forgiveness and this endurance. There is a story in the Sutra of the 100 Parables. One day, a father sent his son to the market to buy some food and drinks to serve his guests. When his son did not return for a long time, the father was getting worried and went out to look for him. He found his son standing on the street staring at a stranger. The father was puzzled and asked him why he stared like that. The son told his father that since the stranger would not step aside to let him pass, both of them decided to stare at each other to see who would give up first. The father was very mad and told his son to run home with the groceries and he would take his place and see who would win. Does not giving a single step mean victory? Does this make us truly happy? If we want to set a good example to the younger generations, we should be tolerant, patient, and forgiving. Our children will benefit from it tremendously. So at the sound of the bell, we can kind of bring up a promise to ourselves and a sincerity to ourselves that we will endeavor to practice tolerance and to be truly forgiving in the face of these sufferings and difficulties. Thank you, Morgan. Okay, we'll go to the next poem. If you don't consider your affairs over 3 times, you may regret it. If you can do this, then you don't need to worry about future problems. All things go by with time, like the flow of water. Every day our mind could be as light as the spring winds. Commentary. We have to think things through thoroughly and be careful in our actions. If we were impulsive, we would surely regret it, for many circumstances require tolerance. I want to say something about this, to think things through thoroughly and being careful in our actions. From my understanding, in Asia, the mind is here. The mind is actually in the heart region. If they point to the mind, they will point to the heart. Whereas in a Western, maybe we immediately think of the brain and very intellectual thinking. So here with this, we have to think things through thoroughly and be careful in our actions. For me, this means more of a contemplation, to look closely at it and to be with it and to attend to it and to be very careful. And not to be impulsive, in a sense that we don't just take things at the surface value. And just because we've fallen into a certain way of being doesn't mean that we stay there. So it's this reflective quality, it's this contemplative quality, less than a intellectual frenzy that we're getting, a thinking frenzy that we're getting ourselves into. But it's more we're looking at it from this fresh perspective, and we're dropping our assumptions, and we're looking with our full capacities from here moving forward, and how we're going to deal with the situation, and how we are dealing with the situation, especially when it comes to big actions. If we were impulsive, we would surely regret it, for many circumstances require tolerance. Once there was a merchant who planned to go home for the New Year celebrations. He wanted to buy a present for his wife. He lingered around the market and stopped in front of a monk who sold Buddhist verses. Out of curiosity, the merchant stepped forward and asked the monk, "How much is it for a verse?" 10 taels of gold. 10 coins of gold. "That much?" the merchant exclaimed. So the monk is saying it cost 10 coins of gold. "The verses are very accurate. Surely they are worth the price," the monk replied. The merchant thought for a while and said, then I would like to buy a verse." The monk then read the verse and asked the merchant to memorize it very well. A verse only consisted of 4 sentences, and it cost him 10 coins of gold. The merchant was somewhat regretful, yet he knew it was not proper to show his reluctance. He traveled day and night till he reached home. When he arrived, it was already midnight of New Year's Eve. He saw that the front door was not locked properly. He entered and proceeded to his living quarters with wonder. In the dim light, he saw a pair of men's slippers. Enraged, the merchant thought, "My wife has cheated on me while I was away." He went into the kitchen and picked up a knife and went directly back to his room. In the heat of the moment, he remembered the verse from the old monk. Take 3 steps forward and think. Take 3 steps back and think again. If you want to know truth in life, the thieves of the 6 roots are accomplices in crime. The 6 roots are a Buddhist concept, and I was looking this up, and I'm not exactly sure. There's two 6 roots that it could be pointing to. One is the 6 root kleshas, or the 6 root negative states of mind, and that is attachment, anger, ignorance, pride or conceit, doubt, and a wrong view or a false view, a self-fixated view. And then the other way that we could look at it are the 6 thieves of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So we can fall into this particular trap of being wrapped up in our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. And so the thieves of the 6 roots are accomplices in crime. What I came up with was that this collaboration between your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind can kind of get tangled and get stuck with this attachment, this anger, this ignorance, this pride. So there's so much to get to kind of steal away our true nature, or our compassionate awareness, our open awareness. So if you want to know truth in life, the thieves of the 6 roots are accomplices in crime. So just because you see something, then you have attachment, then you have anger, right? And then you hear something, now you have doubt, wrong view, etc. There's all these physical states and experiences, and these negative mental formations are kind of collaborating and getting tangled up together. So in the heat of the moment, he remembered the verse from the old monk. Take 3 steps forward and think. And I would put think as to look deeply or to contemplate, because the normal way of just intellectually thinking or talking to yourself is not quite going to get at anything. But it's more this looking deeply and this attending to and this being with. I would say that's more important. So take 3 steps forward and think, or stop. Right? Take 3 steps forward and stop. Contemplate. Look. Then take 3 steps back and stop again. Think. Look deeply. Be with. If you want to know the truth in life, the thieves of the 6 roots are accomplices in crime. So you can't just trust your complicated thinking, your perceptions of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. These are actually thieves that are pulling your attention away from the truth, right? From your compassion, from your awareness, from your true self. So, in a situation where you're in the heat of the moment holding a knife, this is an important time to remember your true self, not get carried away. So, The wife of the merchant was awakened by the noise of his stepping 3 steps forward and 3 steps back again and again. She was elated to see her husband, yet was confused by his rage. She was overwhelmed after she learned of his accusation. She said, "Ay, ya! Today is New Year's Eve. You were not home. I placed a pair of your slippers to bring about good luck for your safe return." Her reply hit the man like a clap of thunder. He exclaimed with joy, 10 coins of gold for the verse was worth every bit. In our daily living, we must realize that what we see with our own eyes or hear with our own ears is not always in accord with reality. We can easily be deluded by the 6 roots, which are accomplices in crime. Therefore, we must be cautious. Okay? So our anger is collaborating with our attachment, and our attachment is collaborating with our wrong view, our misperception. And so you just get caught in this knot where you lose everything. You know, you can lose it in every way you can imagine, right? And this also is connected to the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, because these can be the contact points where you see something and now you have this wrong perception, etc. So in our daily living, we must realize that what we see with our own eyes or hear with our own ears is not always in accord with reality. We can easily, really, this is an important point, we can easily, very easily be deluded by the 6 roots, our wrong view, our ignorance, our anger, our fear, which are accomplices in crime. Therefore, we must be cautious. We must be careful. We must be contemplative. Anyone have something to share or ask about for this one? Don't be shy. If you have something, please offer out for all of our benefit. Ava, you have something over there?
I was thinking, like, what pops into my head about things that can, like, contribute to, like, this anger that you were talking about, is, like, also, like, our phones and our habits and, like, being in our minds. Like, I tie that back to our phones a lot, and I think people don't want to think about the truth of, like, what it takes to get to this point that you're talking about of, like, not being in our minds, and, you know, the 6 things that you talked about that can keep us away from, you know, being in our best mindset. So I think people, if they want to actually improve on it, should think about the phones, you know, who you're surrounding yourself with, what culture do you live in the country that you're in, and stuff like that. So that's what popped into my mind.
Yeah. These 6 root kleshas, or these 6 root negative mind states, negative formations of mind. Attachment, so we're attached to someone or something or some place or some time. We're stuck on something, which, you know, this is mine, how dare you, you know, I like things this way, etc. Now we're wrapped up in this attachment. Our peace has been stolen from us. Anger, you did this, you know, why is it like this anger. Ignorance, so you forget your true self. Even you forget your sincere self. You just fall into that reactivity, right? You fall into that self-fixated position, and you're lost in it. That's the ignorance. The pride, oh, I'm so beautiful, I'm so wise, I'm so strong, da 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 da. I'm so wealthy, I'm so skillful at this or this. It's, you know, you lose yourself in it. Doubt, which is more like a skepticism. You're skeptical about everyone. You don't have a wholeheartedness in your life because you're just skeptical about everything. It's not that you're not contemplative about what you're dealing with, but you see someone and you make a judgment and they say something to you and now you're thinking, oh, was that authentic, was that real? It's just you're so skeptical, you have so much doubt about everything. And then especially that wrong view, that false view, a fixation on opinionatedness. Okay, this strongly held opinion, this strongly held view about yourself, about someone else, about a situation. And it's the attachment quality to this view that particularly makes it the strength of wrongness or falseness. So that's that opinionatedness, how strongly you're holding on to that. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Ava. And so, you said to be aware of what you're consuming, what you're around, the people you're around, and how they are influencing your attachment, anger, ignorance, pride, doubt, wrong views. Wonderful. Sure. Gabe, you want to share something?
Yeah. So one thing that really came to me from yesterday's practice was saying that practicing skillful activities will help you handle life situations better. And sometimes, though obviously you cannot um, put this as a guarantee, but sometimes when you're doing skill good activities, you can be more you can be more capable of having good things happen to you, I guess. And I actually kind of had this experience today where I was in one of my art classes, doing work, and I was thinking about the conversation I was going to have later that day. So I kind of like put it aside and tried focusing on my painting. And then a few minutes later, I found out there was this art show happening in the gallery right outside my room, and there was a late art professor introduced me to a lady who was capable of hooking people up with really interesting internships, and I was just like, I feel so without attaching to it. I was thinking, I feel so blessed to be able to be in this environment and having it come to me when I was trying, emphasis on trying to be in a more skillful state of mind than focusing on stuff that I worry about. If that makes sense.
You muted, Dante.
Yes. Um, there was a time where I worked at a dollar store, a general, uh, small dollar store, and as a manager, and we had a lot of people stealing. And I felt like it was my responsibility to stop those people from stealing, but the thing was, I was really bad at it. And I ended up accusing a lot of innocent people. And I feel like that daily, almost daily practice of being suspicious of innocent people just really grew a mindset that just was unhealthy for me, and I think it was hurting a lot of people. And eventually left, and on that I think was good for me. But I also thoughts come up about that past, and I worry about one of those people coming up to me one day and saying, "Hey, you did this to me," and I often wonder how I'm going to handle that. I don't know what to do. But these readings today just now brought those thoughts up, so that's what I've been dealing with. But as an example of sowing the right seeds. Yeah.
There's no better way to prepare for difficulty and the repercussions of our past unskillful actions than doing good deeds more and more. And there are going to be, none of this is a way to get out of difficulty or pain, right? This is like a form of pain, what you're describing that can happen. But it's more a way of primarily how we can access the present moment as a place of healing and a place of nourishment and a place of joy, right? This present moment, and recognize there is a present moment, but also to exist in a way where we can also eat the blame. We can eat the pain, just like we eat the pleasure. We can eat the difficulty. We can go through these difficult experiences, and they can nourish us to continue more deeply on the path, right? Because if something like that happens, it's just going to be you meeting you. And if you have the right quality of mind, then it's going to be something that can support you to continue on the path, regardless of what happens. So we don't need to fear these situations. Um, we need to enjoy more and more that there is a present moment and that that's real and that that's an exploration and that's curious and that's interesting and it's also quite simple and safe. When those situations come and meet us, we can meet them with a smile and we can meet them with gentleness and we can meet them with our open heart, and the people will see that and understand that. That's for sure.
Okay, thank you.
So this final poem is actually a part of the second chapter in this book, which is on practice. The first few portions of this book have been on the topics of the philosophy of life, so how we approach life in general. And this poem that we will wrap with is actually on practice. So we will listen to this and the commentary together, see what we can get from that. It is after bone-chilling cold that one can become a king of the Dharma. It is after bone-chilling cold that one can become a queen of the Dharma. It is after bone-chilling cold that one can become a non-binary master of the Dharma. A face with no anger is a pure offering. A mouth that speaks no anger is fragrant and fresh. A heart with no anger is a priceless treasure. Buddha nature is beyond time and limit. We have to be watchful of our anger. In Buddhism, anger is compared to fire because it can negate our good karma. When the fires of anger come, they quickly burn down the forest of merit that we have worked so hard to cultivate. Thus, we have to control our anger. First, as mentioned in the opening line, a face with no anger is a true offering. We should keep smiling. One of the most beautiful things in this world is a smile. And it is one of the best forms of charity and benevolence. Some people mistakenly think that one has to be rich to be charitable. They do not realize that a genuine smile to others is not only a most valuable form of charity, but also a wonderful offering. In Buddhism, there are many forms of charity and benevolence. We can donate food, clothing, furniture, and medicine. We can also offer incense, flowers, fruits, or valuables. We can use our body, speech, and thoughts to make offerings. The highest offerings come from the heart. The heart's true happiness is shown by the smiles on our faces. That is the best offering. And just to say, we can smile to ourselves. Sometimes maybe we are shy to give a big smile to other people. So you can go in the mirror and you can smile to yourself and laugh at yourself, and that's a good practice. Smile as happily as you can. And don't think too much about it, just to smile. The smiling itself, a generosity offering, is benevolence, right? And then we start to make a noise, we start to make a nonsense in our mind about things. Enough. You don't take that so seriously. Oh, I'm smiling like this or that. Don't worry about that. Just smile and relax. The heart's true happiness is shown by the smiles on our faces. That is the best offering. A mouth that speaks no anger is fragrant and fresh. When we talk, we should do so kindly and sincerely. We should not disparage nor slander. We should not gossip or talk behind people's backs. As it is said in the Diamond Sutra, the Buddha only spoke the truth and did not engage in exaggerations and lies. Talking kindly is like a breath of fresh air. We can consider how to speak kindly in those situations, in those social situations where someone has harmed us or there is a difficulty, right? I don't like someone, or having some kind of conflict with someone. That can become, instead of just oh, this person is so horrible and ugly and nasty, da da da, we have so much hate and anger for this person we don't like. Instead of going in that direction, it becomes a moment of mindfulness. It becomes a moment of self-care and control. When we're like kind of talking to another person about the situation, and it becomes this opportunity to speak kindly and to be kind with our suffering, right? To be kind to that other person, which is really just a reflection of ourselves when it comes down to it. We also have that inside of ourselves. Hoalu over on the YouTube. Hoalu's a lovely member of our community. It's been for a while. And they said, Ajahn Brahm practices smiling to himself in the mirror every day. So this is Ajahn Brahm. This is one of the most advanced and well-known teachers in Western Buddhism, Western spirituality. And Hoalu's pretty I trust Hoalu, and they say Ajahn Brahm is smiling to himself every day in the mirror. So try it out. Right? I can look in the mirror now. See my OBS here. right? It's a joy. We smile to ourselves. Wow. We can really be happy and, be a little bit loose and fun with this ball of flesh that we're carrying around. A heart with no anger is a priceless treasure. We need to watch diligently to make sure anger does not arise. We should show no anger on our faces, use no angry words, and go to the bottom of our hearts to root out all thoughts of anger. Without anger in our hearts, all our thoughts and actions will be directed towards helping others, giving others convenience, confidence, and hope. To attain such a level of practice is invaluable. So, something here that I think is important to point at is um, to watch diligently to make sure anger does not arise. It's just like you have a fire, okay? You have a campfire. You need to watch diligently, not to make sure that there's not a fire, because there is a fire, there is a life, there is a experience, there is cause and effect, there are conditions that are coming up and going away. But when we see an ember go out of the fire pit, we need to watch diligently to make sure that anger does not arise, so that that fire does not spread. Actually, every time an ember pops out of a fire pit and a little leaf catches on fire, doesn't mean that we need to jump up and stomp it out or suppress it, but rather we need to watch diligently to make sure that the fire of anger does not arise, right? To take care, and just that prioritizing it is really important. We recognize, oh, this anger is just going to poison me and burn me and hurt other people. So I certainly don't want to give into that or feed that, right? So we should show no anger on our faces, use no angry words, and go to the bottom of our hearts to root out all thoughts of anger. This is a practice of releasing and relaxing and attending to and taking care and being mindful of, kind of what's going on, sitting by the fire and keeping an eye on things. It's not that embers don't pop out. Without anger in our hearts, all our thoughts and actions will be directed towards helping others. So this pathway of helping others and selflessness will be more accessible to us, giving others convenience, confidence, and hope. To attain such a level of practice is invaluable, not only for ourselves, but for a community, for the people who we are around. It's just invaluable. It's just so wonderful to step into this level of practice. Buddha nature is beyond time and limit. If we can rest our body and mind in actions, speech, and thoughts that are free of all anger, then we will begin to see our limitless Buddha nature. I'll read that one more time. Buddha nature, this awakening nature, this peace nature, this freedom nature that is inside of all of us and is in the here and now with all of us, inside of you, that potential. Buddha nature is beyond time and limit. If we can rest our body and mind in actions, speech, and thoughts that are free of all anger, then we will begin to see our limitless Buddha nature. Okay? So when we are participating in, when we are feeding, when we don't see through the thieves that are knocking at our door of attachment, anger, ignorance, pride, skepticism, wrong view, this heaviness of opinionatedness, when we don't see through those things, we can't rest. You couldn't to take a real rest. You could only distract yourself. And maybe you know this even more strongly after you get into a fight with someone. You express your anger. You hurt yourself. You hurt someone else. That's not a time when any rest can take place. You can distract yourself. But as we as we start to recognize, to abandon and to take care of, just to attend, to diligently sit by this fire pit of these kaleshas, these negative mind states that come up, these afflictions, our attachment, our anger, our ignorance, our pride, our skepticism, our heavy opinionatedness, when we can start to sit by that fire and be diligent to make sure that these embers don't pop out and spread and make fires, then we can rest our body and mind in our actions, speech, and thoughts that are free of all anger, all opinionatedness, all attachment, all pride. Then we will begin to see our limitless Buddha nature. So, in fact, this seeing of our limitless Buddha nature, this ultimate wonderful enlightenment and peace and truth, is not about something you strive and fight to do and then you get to see it, but it's actually in your rest. It's in your true relax, release, putting down. And then this limitless Buddha nature begins to reveal itself more and more. Let's listen to 3 sounds of the bell. Feel invited to make sure you're in a meditative, comfortable position and listen to the sound of the bell with your whole body, whole mind, whole heart, and really enjoy this space where we are safe, we are wholesome, we are at peace, and we know that we're doing what we should do this moment, just to rest in that. Okay, we can all bring our hands together, and with the sound of the bell, we offer a bow to our practice, to one another, and to Venerable Master Su Yun and me as a monk in some sense, but really our inner wisdom. You can't understand a language that you don't know for yourself. Okay, so there's nothing that I'm saying that is exclusive to me, or that Venerable Master Su Yun is saying that's exclusive to me. You're here because you understand. So we bow to the Buddha nature inside of ourselves. And we'll make 3 bows. So with each bell, a bow. Okay, my dear friends, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for your time and attention. Hope you enjoy and look forward to seeing you again soon, all right? Take care. See ya. And everyone joining on YouTube, don't be shy to like, subscribe, and share your mindfulness, your happiness, your peace, your joy, your gentleness, your kindness, and all of the wisdom and the insight that comes from these practices. Don't just to keep it for yourself, something that you get or something that you grasp, but to offer out and to share out more and more on this path, okay? Thank you all for being here.